At 2 in the morning, I watched two men in black HOA compliance vests pry at my pool gate. And then the HOA president's son shoved me, slipped on my wet deck, scraped his elbow, and called 911 on me. By sunrise, I was the one under investigation, but by the end, his mother's entire empire of control went up in flames. Act T. The spark. My name's Henry Thompson. I'm an engineer, a dad, and someone who thought buying in Oak Creek Estates would mean peace and safety for my family. Turns out, it meant moving into a fiefdom ruled by Karen Brown, the HOA president. Karen runs this neighborhood like she's pruning one of her perfect rose bushes. Everything clipped, polished, controlled. She has rules for fences, paint shades, mailbox heights. And now, apparently, even the kind of lock I put on my pool gate. All I did was install a smart lock. My pool sits just behind my property line, technically private, but it shares a fence that touches the community path. My son Marcus is 14, a swimmer. I wanted to make sure no one wandered in after hours, especially kids looking for trouble. The trouble found us first. It started with her son, Chad, high school golden boy, swim captain, a car that cost more than my first mortgage. He decided the community pool was his personal clubhouse. He needed the access code. When Marcus wouldn't give it, Chad went after him with memes, bullying, humiliating screenshots in group chats. My kid came home looking crushed, holding his phone like a venomous snake. That night, I told him, "This isn't about you, Marcus. This is about him. You did the right thing saying no. We'll handle it together." I thought I could handle it like an engineer, quietly, methodically, with data. But bullies don't back off when you stand firm. They escalate. Act. Escalation and the breaking point. I noticed the pattern. First, Karen herself stopped me on the path one evening. Crisp white linen pants, silk blouse, that fake politician smile. She eyed my smart lock like it was a weed in her perfect garden. "Quite the fortress you're building there." "Henry," she said. I replied, "It keeps my son safe. That's what matters to me." She hated boundaries she didn't set herself. She hinted at safety inspections, vague threats about HOA people checking my property. It wasn't subtle. And then one night, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. My cameras lit up. Two men in black vests, HOA compliance patches ironed on, crept toward my back gate. They weren't teens. They were hired muscle. They punched in codes. Fail, 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 then pried at the lock. My system held. Minutes later, Chad appeared, towel on his shoulder, smirking like he was directing a movie. That was the moment I knew this wasn't random mischief. This was sanctioned by his mother. I told myself to stay calm, keep collecting data. But watching them actually scale my fence, land in my yard, that's when I moved. I stepped out in slippers, porch light snapping on. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" I asked. One of them puffed his chest. "Mandatory safety inspection." At 2:30 in the morning, I raised an eyebrow. "No, that's called trespassing." Then he grabbed my arm. Vice grip. Adrenaline hit me like a surge of electricity. I wrenched free. And that's when Chad shoulder-checked me, trying to look tough. He forgot the deck was slick with dew. He slipped, flailed, crashed on his side, scraped his elbow. Tiny scratch. Big drama. And immediately, he whipped out his phone, screaming into 911. "I've been attacked." He pushed me. "I'm bleeding." I just stood there, watching the absurd performance, sirens already wailing in the distance. For the first time, I felt it, real despair. In that moment, I thought maybe they'd win. Maybe the noise, the theatrics, the connections, they'd drown out the truth. I actually thought about giving up, removing the lock, letting them have their way. And then, the cops arrived. Sergeant Daniels, steady, seasoned. Officer Tate, younger, sharper. They listened to Chad whine. Karen swoop in, shrieking about her innocent boy. They glanced at my slippers, my lock, the ridiculous patches on the thugs' vests. And then Tate turned to me. "Sir, do you have any way to prove what you're saying?" I smiled for the first time that night. As a matter of fact, I do. I showed them the logs, 14 failed attempts, tamper alerts, timestamps matching their arrival. I showed the security footage, the men prying, scaling, grabbing me, and the pièce de résistance, the clip of Chad shoving me, then slipping and falling all on his own. Silence. Everyone saw it. Everyone knew, and just like that, the balance shifted. Act T3, the showdown. But Karen didn't back down. If anything, she doubled down. The next morning, HOA fines started arriving like clockwork. $500 here, $500 there for unapproved electronic devices, for unauthorized surveillance, even for my deck lights. A paper war. Death by 1,000 envelopes. Most people would have caved, paid just to stop the bleeding. But I'm not most people. I logged every fine, every date, every fake bylaw citation. I highlighted the real rules she ignored. I dug. And then came the smoking gun. Karen sent a community-wide email calling those trespassers contractors. She claimed the board had hired them for a late-night security audit. That word contractors was her fatal mistake. Contractors leave invoices. Contractors get paid. With the help of a nervous board member, Arthur Fleming, I got the bank statements. And there it was. 5,000 checks every month to a shell company. Suburban Oversight Solutions, LLC, registered agent, not Karen Brown, Karen Miller. Her maiden name, she was paying herself, laundering HOA dues to hire goons and attack my family. So at the next special HOA meeting, I came prepared. Projector, slides, video, bank records. The room was packed, neighbors buzzing. Karen tried to get ahead, spinning her safety initiative story, but when I played the footage, her son trespassing, the men grabbing me, the shove, the slip, the gasps were deafening. Then I pulled up the invoices, the bank statements, the state filing with her maiden name. This, I said, voice steady, isn't safety. This is fraud. She stole from all of us, and she used our money to attack a 14-year-old boy and his father. The room exploded. Years of resentment boiled over. Motions flew. Rescind my fines. Cancel her contracts. Launch a forensic audit. Votes passed unanimously. Karen pounded her gavel like it was a weapon, screaming that I was defaming her. But the gavel was just wood now, no power behind it. Her reign ended not with resignation, but with neighbors standing, shouting, stripping every ounce of authority she thought she owned. She just stood there, pale, eyes wide, realizing the empire of roses and rules she'd built had collapsed in front of everyone. Closing line. Noise can fool people for a night, but proof will burn down a kingdom.